This is K.M. Weiland, and you're listening to the 40th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. I rolled my sleeves up this week and slogged into the down and dirty work of officially starting my rewrite of My Fantasy Dreamers Come. In my book, rewriting is usually about as much fun as an infected hangnail. But wonderful things are happening with this rewrite. My characters are flying across the pages, the deletions are painless, and I'm having a blast. It's been one of those weeks where I would happily spend every possible minute on my manuscript, and every other minute dancing around in the clouds. Who'd have thunk? In other news, I was thrilled to discover a few weeks ago that Writer's Digest publisher Jane Friedman had selected me as one of 4 writers to recommend on her blog as worth following on Twitter. To receive my daily tweets, which include helpful links, inspiring quotes, and a question of the day, you can follow me by visiting twitter.com/kmweiland, that's WEILAND. Don't forget to take a peek at the video series on my blog. The latest episode, Make Every Scene Matter, explains how Daphne du Maurier's The Flight of the Falcon teaches us to make even the most insignificant scenes act as dominoes that affect all the scenes to follow. You can watch the video on my blog at wordplay-kmweiland.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. Meanwhile, enjoy this week's podcast, 15 Lessons from the Masters. When authors whose stories have impacted the world start talking, we start listening. Take a listen to the following collection of wisdom on a myriad of writing topics. Be instructed and be inspired. Beginnings. Write a section or scene that comes before the place where your piece will begin, to help you become familiar with your character's plot or setting. Scott Edelstein. Characters. Find out what your hero or heroine wants, and when he or she wakes up in the morning, just follow him or her around all day. Ray Bradbury. Description. One shouldn't explain beyond what's necessary. William of Ockham. Dialogue. Let the emotional weight of a scene rest on the dialogue wherever possible. This is the easy way to avoid overinterpretation, which seems to be what turns a scene from sympathetic to sentimental. Judith Guest. Editing. An author is one who can judge his own stuff's worth without pity and destroy most of it. Colette. Endings. I rewrote the ending of Farewell to Arms 39 times before I was satisfied. Ernest Hemingway. Inspiration. Most of the time, that which we call inspiration is just a dry academic process, a brutal, unromantic exercise in patience. Some of us weather it, some of us don't. Lee Adams. Originality. The secret of good writing is to say an old thing in a new way, or to say a new thing in an old way. Richard Harding Davis. Plot. Often I'll find clues to where the story might go by figuring out where the characters would rather not go. Doug Lawson. Rewriting. The time to begin writing an article is when you have finished it to your satisfaction. By that time, you begin to clearly and logically perceive what it is you really want to say. Mark Twain. Show and tell. If you tell me, it's an essay. If you show me, it's a story. Barbara Greene. Style. The best style is the style you don't notice. Somerset Maugham. Subtlety. What I like in a good author is not what he says, but what he whispers. Logan Pearsall Smith. Title. A good title should be like a good metaphor. It should intrigue without being too baffling or too obvious. Walker Percy. Voice. A writer's voice is not character alone. It is not style alone. It is far more. A writer's voice is the stroke of an artist's brush, is the thumbprint of her whole person, her idea, wit, humor, passions, rhythms. Patricia Lee Gouch. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmweiland, that's WEILAND.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.